Hello everyone, welcome to episode 21 of the Lewis Cooper Experience podcast experience. Today I'm going to talk about three things like I normally do. I'm going to talk about the movie Nomadland, the big Oscar winning movie of this previous week. I'm going to talk about probably the whole series of Invincible, the Amazon Prime animated show. I'm not going to go spoilery on either of those things, so if you haven't watched them, you'll probably be alright. But yeah, also I'm going to talk about this comic briefly, because it's only a little comic, so I haven't got much to talk about, but I thought it'd be cool to talk about comics because I like them. But yeah, so let's get to it. Nomadland is a movie directed by and written by and produced by Chloe Zhao, who won Best Director at the Oscars, and this movie won Best Picture, and the lead actress Frances McDormand won her third Oscar for acting, which is a lot of Oscars because she's really good at it. This movie just came on Disney Plus over here in the UK, and I don't know if it is in America, it might be, or other places in the world, because there are other places, but I previously watched Chloe Zhao's movie The Rider, which I really liked, and that movie was really interesting. It's very similar to this, and I'm glad I watched it because coming into this, it kind of set me up for it properly, and also, like I say, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there isn't really spoilers for this because not a lot happens. It's more about the characters, really, if that makes sense, but I'll get into that in a sec. Again, I'm not going to talk in too much detail about it. I'll probably just talk about how I feel about it rather than like a review. But anyway, The Rider was Chloe Zhao's, I think, second feature. I'm not sure, maybe even her first. She's done another one that I can't find anywhere. And it was a movie about a rodeo rider, like a horse rider in America, and who had an injury. I can't talk. And all the people in the film were played by the real people because it was based on a real story, and none of them were professional actors, and it was just this really slow character based film where, again, not a lot happens. It is just about the people and just kind of going through life. And this is very similar, Nomadland. This, again, it's almost like it could be a documentary, and again, it's not really, it's shot beautifully, but it's not shot dramatically, but it's not shot like a documentary, but it could be, if you know what I mean. And as far as I know, it's been the same as The Rider, in which Frances McDormand, I think, is the only professional actor in this, or actress. I could be wrong, but when I looked at the credits, I didn't know much going into this film other than the basics, but when I looked at the credits, all the characters had their first name, and then the actual person playing them had the same first name, so I'm guessing that they were, and I looked it up and they are real nomads and that kind of thing. So it is just about a woman who just goes off on her own in America in a van, and it's just about her going around and meeting people and just kind of dealing with kind of her past in a way, and then with things that happen while she's out on the road. But like I say, not a lot happens, but I don't mean that in a bad way. This was kind of exactly my kind of vibe in a film, and I just found it quite transfixing, and it's one that I think I will like more when I watch it again, which I will do at some point. So I'm glad it's on Disney Plus, so I don't have to pay extra to watch it again in like a few weeks or whatever, or whenever I do. I don't think this film will be for everyone, and plus it bugs me that it's come out over here after the Oscars, and I get it, because like when I record this, the Oscars was like I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, or a week ago, because I'll probably put this out on Monday. But yeah, when you hear a film's won Oscars and Best Picture and whatever, and I know Oscars and awards and stuff are meaningless, really, but I find it interesting, at the least. I think it kind of builds up certain expectations, so I can imagine a lot of people are going to see this pop up on Disney Plus and go, oh, Oscar winning picture, and then they're going to watch it and go, this is boring. But it's not boring, but if you're not in the right tone of right frame of mind for this sort of tone of film, I feel like it probably won't really work for you. But if you do like films that are a bit more of a character study and a bit more kind of slow and quiet, which I like, then I think it's worth a go. But if you're just looking for a nice little fun enjoyable film, this probably isn't the one. And if you haven't got a great attention span, which sometimes I haven't, but then maybe not, but I like this film. I think it's a well made film. I think it's an interesting film, and yeah, I liked it. And the crazy thing is, Chloe Zhao's next film I think the next film is Eternals, which is a Marvel superhero film about. I've read some of the Eternals comics, and they're giant, they're celestial gods, and it's just crazy that someone from Marvel, whether it's Kevin Feige or someone else who looked at these slow, kind of meandering, like pondering, thoughtful indie films that she's made about human lives, and they went, we want her for our big space god movie. But yeah, and then she's doing like a sci-fi western Dracula reboot, which I'm in. Like I like these slow, arty, thoughtful films, but if I hear the word sci-fi western Dracula movie, I'm in straight away. So yeah. So anyway, that's my review of Nomadland, out now on the Disney Plus. Second thing I want to talk about, which I mentioned briefly on here a few weeks back, is Amazon Prime's Invincible. I watched the first few episodes in this, and then I kind of fell out of sync with it a bit because I struggle with TV shows. As I've said before, I mainly watch films, but I had a bit of a break from watching films this week, so I thought, you know what, I'll get caught up on Invincible, because it's about 40-45 minutes an episode, and it's based on a Robert Kirkman comic, the Walking Dead creator. And for somehow I've completely missed these comics. Like I'm pretty into my comics, but I wasn't for a long time, so I think maybe that's how I kind of missed it. And it's not one of the big dogs, it's not DC or Marvel. I can't actually remember who the publisher is, to be honest. And it's rare for me to watch a comic book adaptation without reading the source material first, because 10 times out of 10 the comics will be better, or I'll enjoy them more at the very least. And there's so many things coming out these days that are comic based, it's impossible to keep up. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to watch this show, it looks pretty cool. And I really liked it to start with. Like I say, I won't go into too much detail on this, so if you haven't watched it yet, this is kind of me recommending it more so than me reviewing it. So I won't go into too much spoilers, but I said previously, the first episode, if you think about giving this show a go, watch the first episode and that will tell you kind of what you're in for. Because it's a bit of a tonal shift towards the end. Well, it's a pretty drastic tonal shift. If you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. And there's a couple of episodes, 8 episodes in a series, which is perfect. I love that. I don't need too many episodes. 8 episodes is great. Like the Marvel and the Mandalorian show and stuff, like they're about 6 to 8 episodes or what have you. And that's just perfect. I don't need any longer than that. Unless it's like a 20-minute sitcom or whatever. But most TV shows, 8 episodes is superb. 9 at a push. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. Like I say, there's an overall storyline, but there's a few episodes kind of in the middle there which I kind of went, yeah, that's okay. And then there's one that was really, really good right in the middle. And then episode 7, the penultimate episode, is just insane. Like it just goes mad, and I was like, this is brilliant. I'm so glad I got into this. So I caught up with them and I watched the final episode today, which is Friday. But like I say, I'll probably put this out on Monday. And yeah, it's really good. It's a really good show. Like I say, it's a superhero show, but also not. Like you don't necessarily have to be a fan of superhero stuff. And what I like about it is that there's there are some characters that are clearly derivative of like the big superheroes like Justice League and stuff, but that's clearly intentional. They're very much kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of not satire, but kind of references sort of thing. Like the Aquaman equivalent is just a fish guy, but it's which Aquaman, it would be great if he was. But they kind of just build and develop their own characters in such a short space of time, but in a really good way, to where you care about these, superheroes you've never heard of before. And like the end of the series, and again, I won't spoil anything, so you're safe if you haven't seen it, but they do just kind of show little flashbacks of some of the previous characters in the show and kind of where they're at now. And you realise they've built this whole kind of world, like while the show's been going on, and it's just been renewed for series 2 and 3. So they've kind of built all these characters, and you kind of go, actually, yeah, I know these characters quite well now, and I recognise them quite well. And yeah, it's kind of like they did that quite subtly, like kind of in the background sort of thing. But also you follow the storyline, then it builds up a world around it, which is really well done for, say, 8 45-minute episodes, which isn't really that long in the grand scheme of things. So it's quite cool that I can look at these characters and recognise them as readily as I would some of these characters that have been around for 60 to 80 years or what have you. So it's they've done a really good job with it. So it is very, very adult. So if you kind of go, I don't want to watch a cartoon about superheroes, first of all, you're stupid, because some cartoons are absolutely great. But it's a very adult-oriented show. This is definitely not a kids' show, I will say that much. But yeah, all the episodes are Amazon Prime now for the first series, and I would highly recommend it. But yeah, that is my brief kind of summary of series 1 of Invincible. Thank you. And lastly, this comic book, which is Alien, issue 1, by Marvel, because Marvel now have the license for Alien and Predator. At first they released a few variant covers of their existing titles like Spider-Man, etc., with like an alien twist on them. So they weren't actually crossovers, they were just the covers had aliens on them with the Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever. I think it's only a matter of time before they do crossover Alien and Predator, the Marvel characters, because why not? You know, they don't have to be in normal continuity, you can just have an extra thing like Aliens have been against Predator, obviously, they've been against Judge Dredd, they've been against Batman, Superman, a lot of other characters in the comics, so hey, why not? Yeah, I picked this up just while I was in the comic shop, and it was just, I just thought, hey, I'll check it out, and it's pretty good so far. Like, it's only the very beginning. I remember reading Judge Dredd Aliens in 2000 AD years ago, probably over 10 years ago now. I remember being really excited for it and the build up to it. I go, here we go, Judge Dredd versus Aliens, here we go. And then the first issue, because each story in 2000 AD is only 5 pages long, and then the first issue ends with like a chest burster, and I was like, I've got to wait another week now. So it's quite hard because you don't want to give everything away straight away. I won't show too much, because again I want to be careful of spoilers, and you can't really see it too well, but this opening page here does a fantastic job of setting the scene, because it describes darkness, and that's a very important part of the the alien mythos, is just being in the dark and how scary that would be. But because the character is describing his dreams, and it's of a previous encounter he'd had with an alien or aliens, xenomorphs, but they don't quite go into full detail yet, and it goes into a really good job of describing darkness. And it's just a little quote: "The dark I see is a truer shade than just the absence of light." And then I'll show you this little bit, and again this is in a dream sequence, but there's a really cool splash page of just aliens and xenomorphs just doing their business. Not doing their business, it's disgusting, but just being, badasses. And there's a lot of exposition sort of set up for the human characters in it, which, I don't mind, you've got to have them, because if you don't have human characters you care about, it's not the same when they start getting killed. Because, compare that to Alien and Aliens, which spends a lot of time building up the human characters, and it's still interesting and compelling. And and then when stuff starts going south, it's more interesting compared to Alien vs Predator, for example, the movie, where you don't really care about the characters as much, so it's not as impactful when they start getting killed. But yeah, it's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff in here. It is just the beginning point where it starts kicking off, but I'm not sure how many issues rather there will be. I feel like it's going to be kind of a mini series, maybe like 4 or 5 or what have you. But I will check that out. But yeah, I recommend picking it up. It's $4.99, so that's US dollars, but I think normally that's the equivalent in the comic shop straight to that anyway. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Salvador LaRocca, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, who I mainly associate with X-Men from years and years ago. He's doing the art, which I think works really well. I like the style. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to do some more comics reviews, because I've been reading a lot of comics lately. I'm well into my comics again, and my comic review videos seem to do really well. So, I mean, if that's what people want, then that is what I should do more of. But yeah, that's that. So this wraps up episode 21 of the Lewis Cooper Experience podcast experience. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, honestly. Let me know your thoughts on anything I've talked about in the comments below, or just leave a like, and also subscribe if you haven't already, because I really like that and it makes me happy in my brain. Or don't, and I won't know, so whatever really. But yeah, thanks for watching, take care of yourself, and goodbye.